Good morning to everyone and welcome to Pro Landscaper TV. Thank you all for joining us today. We're here every Tuesday, 10 AM for around 30 to 40 minutes. Pro Landscaper website has all the latest information on the up and coming programs and also has an easy link to the catch-ups on the previous programs we've done. It's also worth liking the Pro Landscaper Facebook page and the Instagram page because there's additional information about what's happening in the panel debates. You can also do a catch-up on the Pro Landscaper YouTube channel. Next week, we're going to be focusing around the effects of Brexit and what it's having on the nursery sector and how it's going to affect the choice and the cost and maybe the availability of plants now that we're 2 months into our new relationship. The following week, we're looking at the porcelain sector. But today, I'm delighted to be joined by one of the UK's leading landscapers. I know David's a bit shy, so I'm not going to overplay this one. But David Dodd. David has run the outdoor room successfully for over 25 years and has built the company to be one of the most well-respected landscape businesses in the country. The outdoor room has secured countless RHS Chelsea Flower Show gold medals over the years, won lots of industry accolades and awards, and I guess has built gardens for most of the UK's leading garden designers. David recently, or 3 years ago, purchased Pots and Pithoi. Pots and Pithoi supply Cretan terracotta pots and planters to both the trade and retail, and they're based in Turners Hill, West Sussex. David is another one of the industry's profession who always has something to say, and I do mean that in a very, very positive way, and is always worth listening to. He regularly writes articles, and some of these are featured in Pro Landscaper, which certainly do create a lot of interest, a lot of reaction, and start some of the industry debates. But we need to get you back on board for that, David. Yeah. David is also often featured as an expert panel on the expert panels of Futurescape and other industry events, and always tends to draw a crowd when he shares his knowledge. I guess this is a big thing as well. David was a driving force behind the launch of Bali's Go Landscape initiative and is a staunch supporter of landscaping as a career. In the first of our success story programs on Pro Landscaper TV, David will share his thoughts on his businesses and how he ensures that both companies remain successful. Welcome, David. Thank you very much for agreeing to join us today. Hope you're well and fighting fit now and you've recovered from your COVID-19 bout over Christmas.
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, Jim. Yeah, quite a scary time. By the way, happy birthday to Pro Landscaper.
Thank you very much.
And to all the people listening, all of the above of what Jim said, signing up and stuff like that. I'm the least techie person in the world, so if anything goes wrong, I've done whole meetings and it's just been blank, so I don't even know how to send a video on, but I think I'm doing okay for now. Anyway, thank you. Thanks for having me on, Jim. I'm very, very honoured.
And you're fit and healthy and full steam ahead again now? Yeah,
it was... I get all emotional when I talk about it. But yeah, scariest time of my life. There was the point where I thought I was a goner a couple of times, but you know, Heidi kept me going. So it was unable to breathe and sort of almost saying my goodbyes. And then I was talking to Mark Gregory about this actually, but I did say 2 things that kept me going. Just as I thought that was it and I was about to draw my final breath, I remember the things that go around in your head. I said, I've never been to Japan. And he started laughing at that. And then I thought, oh, bugger, I've got a 360 quid bottle of port downstairs. I'm not letting anyone else have that either. So it's funny the things that spur you on to keep you going. But yeah, very, very scary. I just wish the whole country and the world would just, for those who aren't taking it seriously, take it seriously.
So without taking it seriously, has the port now been drunk, or are you keeping it still for a special occasion?
I had a little snifter the other night, Jim.
Good.
I've been very good at not drinking, but I did have I thought, just in case another variant comes out, I better get it in there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to Japan yet, though.
I think that's going to be a while yet. So a couple of things there, David. Let's just start with the outdoor room. Over 25 years old. Is definitely one of the premier businesses in the UK landscaping sector. And I guess, you know, how did it come about? How did it start? How have you got it to that level? And maybe more importantly, how have you kept it at that level for such a long time?
I think, well, it started in '95. It was, I lost my, I was asked to go from being a lecturer to Merriswood had a huge change around of management at the time. So I was happy teaching landscaping. And they said, would I go from being a lecturer to a practical instructor? I said, no. I trained to be a teacher. I did 2 years teacher training. So I said no to taking basically the drop. And that was it. I had Sam, my eldest son. He was newborn, so my father had just died. So very sort of weird time. We were moving, and I had to earn some money, and so I just bought myself a pickup, and that was it. And I thought I think John Brooks coined the term the outdoor room, but it was a Swedish designer from the 1950s. I was reading some bizarre book, and he was always referring to the garden as an outdoor room. And I thought, that's quite a good name. Yeah. I quite like that. And then some of the schemes we do, they say, well, it's hardly a room. I said, it's a concept. But people do still phone us up on occasion asking for a conservatory.
Yeah.
How's it being maintained?
Well, I guess step us through the levels to where you got to where you are now. And
yeah. So it was me. There was I was then, luckily, Merriswood suddenly realised, the landscape department realised there were subjects I taught which no one else could teach, so they had to employ me part time, which I loved. It was the best of both worlds. You know, I was still teaching and I was running the business. So it started off with me on my own. I remember I couldn't afford a mixer, and so I used to mix up everything by hand. So I was a big strong boy in those days, a few stone lighter. But after a year, I employed one of my students, a guy called Adam Powell, who's now a successful architect in Hong Kong. He's worked all over the world. And then after about 18 months, I employed Gavin Barrett, who's still with me. Can't get rid of the bugger. But he's been an absolute rock, you know, for 25 years now, and he's just been superb. So again, it was the two of us, and then it sort of, we suddenly realised we had a few more inquiries. We had an office in Chessington Garden Centre, so we were getting more inquiries from the public. So going from my bedroom, spare bedroom, to a small shared shed in Chessington Garden Centre. And then we suddenly discovered we needed more staff. I was going, I don't know about employing staff. We became a limited company quite soon on, because our turnover doubled in year 2, then it doubled again in year 3, and then it was more staff. And then it just sort of escalated. Then I had the bright idea of writing to designers, thinking, well, you know, I trained as a designer at Merriswood, and I thought, well, you know, we could cut out the middleman and doing all that design malarkey and just write to designers. And so we did. So I got introduced to Acres Wild, and we're still working for them today. So it was, and then it just sort of, like I say, then Andy Sturgeon got in touch, and we priced up a bit for him, and we were doing stuff for him. And then really it just kept growing and growing and growing. But it was, the more staff we had, the more vehicles we needed, the more infrastructure. And so the saddest part for me was having to step back more off site, because I was just working 7 days a week, sort of 14, 15 hours a day, and you know, 4 or 5 hours sleep, and occasionally seeing the kids. And here we are, moved to Billingshurst, moved to West Sussex, moved to Cowfold, and then I wanted to have it all in one place. And so I bought Pots and Pithoi by accident. And it was the best accident that's ever happened to me, because we bought it for the premises only. And then I was told it was being sold as an ongoing concern. And we've been a customer of Pots and Pithoi for about 20 odd years as the outdoor room, buying the pots. And I'm like the Victor Kiam of the pot world, Jim. And I love the product so much, I bought the company. And the accountants just said, look, if anyone, I said, I know nothing about retail. And it was quite funny, because obviously the outdoor room was still in Cowfold at the time. and I was popping in there and then trying to get this place back on its feet. And I was going into the office and they were saying, I said, oh, I've had a great day choosing lovely fabrics, and I've got these candles and they're red and gold and they're cinnamon and orange. They're just gorgeous. And I remember Mark and Joe Perkins at the time used to just look at me and go, you've changed. But the other bit which spurred me on, I refused to buy the business until I'd been to Crete to meet the Potters. And that was the one story which had never been sold to the public. And it's like the outdoor room. I want to create beautiful gardens. It's always been, you know, my passion and love is to build beautiful gardens. And I want my company to do the highest quality work achievable. And it's the same with the pots. And there's a story, there's got to be a story there, and you want the customers to buy into that. But at the same time, you know, I think when I sell a pot, you see the potters in Crete and the love and the passion they put into throwing that very unique blend of terracotta. And you just think, you know, this story hasn't been told, and I'm hoping that I'm telling more customers about how they're made and you know, the love that's gone into that product.
So were you at a stage where the outdoor room was not fulfilling you, or there wasn't a growth, or was it you really wanted to get into something else, or you know, what was the transition? What made you think, right, now's the right time after?
Basically, it's credit to the outdoor room staff. You know, we've got Mark and Gav and Phoebe and Phoebe and as I say, Joe Perkins was a great support at the time, and it was just a case of, it wasn't looking to do something new. Like I say, it was an accident, but I mean, they still say I'm a control freak, but it's like their professionalism and the way the business is run did free me up enough to be able to take on another business and basically get a failing business, because the previous owner had just lost all love of it and just wanted shot of it, and I wanted to get it revamped. But again, so we landscaped the courtyard, we sort of opened the restaurant up again, all sadly closed now because of lockdown, but you know, so we revamped the whole business, and if you can just see that passion and drive in it, it's hopefully it speaks for itself when you come here. And like I say, the outdoor room staff indulge me, I think, at times.
You must have felt quite confident in what they were doing. Did your mind move away from it to start with, or did you always have both of them on track at the same time? How was your own mindset?
No, I took my eye off the ball for a year with the outdoor room. Certain things didn't happen the way I wanted them to go. So yeah, there were big changes. So it was, and then the key then to me, and maybe this is a little bit too controlling, but I had to have, the idea was we bought the premises of Pots and Pithoi for the outdoor room to move here, and that took over a year to happen, just with the space. And we're going through planning at the moment for 3 new buildings, including new offices and over the other side of the car park. So it's absolutely critical that I have both companies in the same location, and therefore the management, you know, I'm being told to delegate. I can say, well, they're getting on with that, they're getting on with that. Sam, my eldest son, he now runs Pots and Pithoi. So he's a director of the business. So he's doing really well. Again, his passion for the pots is phenomenal as well. He gets it, and the outdoor room staff, they get it, and that's absolutely critical into running any business. You have to have your staff believe in what you're trying to achieve.
And so just pots, you're buying their pots and integrating them into gardens. is it majority to retail, or is there a lot of trade that buy the pots, and is it designers that design them into the plans, or is it landscapers? How's that working?
That was an area which wasn't doing, when I took over the business, it wasn't doing well at all, the trade side of it. Again, one of the first things I did was wrote to garden designers saying, I've bought pots from Pithoi. The trade disc, are there any public listening, Jim? Can I tell them what the trade discount is? It's what the trade discount was 5%, and straight away I said, well, no one's going to buy. You know, that's not worth you know, having. So we increased trade discounts to designers and contractors, hotels. We count as trade, any sort of businesses. So we went from 5% to 20% trade discount. Looked at the margins. Yes, they're tight margins, but it gets those sales through the door. And then, but I would still say it's about 80-20. The public are still buying directly.
And they're like the high end value pots because of the way that they're created and made.
Yeah.
And
oh, sorry, that's great. Oh, well, this could just be a sales pitch now, Jim. This is an interview.
I like to open the door for you, David.
It's it's a very unique terracotta in the way they're the last potters who are in Crete, as I know, who are still using. They use crushed olive stones and grape seeds for the fuel, and there's this huge Heath Robinson machine, and they fire at, I think 1,050, 1,100, 1,150 degrees. So that you see, and there's a silica which they put in their blend, and their blend is a very closely kept secret. And the person they revere the most in the pottery isn't the potters, it's the person who mixes the clay. And so that's almost like, that's the family secret. So his son didn't want to do it, so it's now his nephew doing it. And it's a cooperative, the pottery. And yeah, it's like I say, when you see all this, I was just so blown away. I mean, it's the excitement there, and I went, yeah, I get this. This is what I want to sell. And again, you know, they're incredibly frost resistant. You know, we sort of brag about going up to -20. I asked Tina, the architect, I asked if she was going back to Finland, and she said yes. I gave her a couple of pots at Chelsea. I said, if you go down to -30, can you just get a thermometer and take a photo? And I said, we'll see if we can then push the extremities of how cold they go. But they survive any UK winter.
And so it's a big investment for you. You know, I noticed the times I've been there, the changes. You've got more stock. You've got a big courtyard now, which I know the outdoor room built. So to start with, you must have had to invest quite a lot of time and effort to get it to where it is now. And money,
Jim, and money.
Money, big money, yeah.
Yeah, it was exhausting. I was also teaching at Inchbald, London College, RHS assessor, RHS judging, and then on the barley board. And I went to the doctor, and for one thing or another, and he took my blood pressure, and they said, you're a ticking bomb. And they said, you've got to stop. So I had to do all this analysis of my life and this, that, and the other. And I looked at the teaching, I looked at the barley, so all the stuff, all the unpaid stuff. Well, I was paid for teaching, sorry, but all the sort of voluntary stuff, the RHS and barley. And he said, you've got to cut it all out. You're doing sort of an extra 13 weeks a year. And I said, yeah, but I enjoy that stuff. They said, yeah, but you're not dedicating enough time to then run your businesses properly. So I said, right, okay. So I sort of resigned from the barley board and resigned from, you know, Inchbald and London College, and focused on the business. And it was quite remarkable how much more, still busy, still you know, flat out, but it was very much a case of I found a lot more time to focus on the business. And I think that was the point where really that warning from the doctor was the point where the two businesses really have sort of started to merge a lot more.
So when you say merge, do you run them as two separate independent businesses?
Oh,
are you the only one that goes across the top? How does it work?
so we got the office here. So I'm in the outdoor room office, and this is where I sit. So I'm still outdoor room, and like I say, the shop over there in the barn behind me, that's all Pots and Pithoi offices in there. So I occasionally pop up and see them, but like I say, that's really, and the online stuff and e-commerce. I mean, I can barely, work out Zoom, Jim, so I've got no hope with that. And there's lots of glitches and things like that, and it always seems to be. But Sam comes and talks to me about, oh, we've got this problem with e-commerce and the website here. I'm going, you're talking to the wrong, you really are talking to the wrong person. Show me the product. If you come face to face, I'll sell you the product all day long. But don't talk to me about selling stuff online. I still go to a cash point, get cash out when I go shopping, and they say you can just use your card. I'm like,
So how's the outdoor room now doing then? I guess with Pots and Piffles, I guess COVID has really had an effect in terms of not having people there. Now you spend a lot of time reinventing the cafe and upgrading it. I guess that's all been in hibernation at the moment. But what about the outdoor room?
Oh, they're just. I think our skill set of staff at the moment is so phenomenal. It's like, who do you pick as a foreman? We've got, pretty much everyone is capable of running a site, and their skill set on the site. I'm spoiled for choice. I mean, I think that's down to in-house training. We've got a new apprentice who started last year, and what he can do in 6 months is scary. It's how they bring each other, and they sort of, I mean, they're all a bit miffed at the moment because none of them can work because of their sites are buried in snow. And unfortunately they're paving and stone walling at the moment, so they just can't get on. But they're taken care of. We'll make sure that they're paid. But it's just, that's weather. There's nothing I can do about it. But they're great, and like I say, they're very, very good. And this is where I feel very lucky. They're excellent at managing themselves, and we have very, very few. They're grown ups.
And in terms of you now managing the sort of consistency of it, because it's you hear a lot of companies get to a certain level, but be able to maintain that and to keep it so strong. What's your involvement on a day-to-day then, in terms of making sure that they keep up the reputation that you've got and build on what you've done for the last 25 years?
Well, that's down to site visits from Mark Britton, his sites and shows manager. So again, it's a case of there's certainly a self-pride in the staff themselves. They don't even need to be in competition with each other. We have methodology in the work, and they know that they have to work to certain standards. And if the designers don't give us the information, we make sure that they're working to very high specifications. So it's a case of they all know the standards expected, and it's I would say very, very 99% of the time you turn up on site and you're just looking at beautifully produced landscaping. And
I guess ambitions for the outdoor room over the next few years. What is it? Just more of the same? Is it different? I know you've got the idea for the big new premises.
Yeah, it's a funny one, Jim. We got invited to tender for a very exciting I can't say, I'm afraid, but I got invited to tender for a very, very exciting project for 2022. And I went through it yesterday, and it was just us boxing above our weight. And I said, it's too big for us, and it's a temporary installation. But the requirements for it were there was so much events management, and I just said, this isn't what we do, and so we politely declined it. So we still got the shows, we still got Chelsea, well, maybe, and then that's what we do best, and I think that's important advice. And I've never punched above my weight, and that's a big weight. So I've never try to punch above my weight. You know, there were bigger boys than us, and I think it's you know, leave it to them. That's what they do. I do what we, you know, we'll go up to sort of 2.5 million,
Yeah.
but you know, 10 million, no, that's not what we do.
Yeah, yeah. And the pots business, what any more, or is there any other more opportunities for you to look elsewhere as well to get another business, or is that, are you quite comfortable where you are?
We've got property development. There was ODR property, and we've got the plot which used to be, well, it's a beautiful location in Surrey, just south of Dorking, and we're speaking with Balfrits for property development on that land. We've got the 3 buildings going in over here. So when that's done, then that's dabbling, Jim. That's dabbling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess like there's lots of landscapers and designers here. Do you think diversification is right? Do you think landscapers get to a certain age and think, well, actually, I can't be on the tools all this time or much longer? What sort of advice would you say to go for it, not go for it, be careful?
Are you talking about me there, Jim?
I've seen you on the tools, David.
Yeah, that's not a pretty sight. Diversify. No, stick to what you're comfortable with. I get bored very easily, and the two things. Well, the one thing I love forever is landscaping. You know, going for a walk, and it's so true. You know, the nature fix. And what the outdoors does is those, and the garden is such an important environment. And how can you ever fall out of love with that? Yeah. You know, it's, I think in lockdown, this is what I'm saying. You know, we turned down 50 grand, you know, local grants because I said, well, no, we're doing all right. I've got to confess. You know, you almost feel a little bit guilty, but pot sales, we were closed to the public, but sales were going through the roof.
Yeah.
So, and it's because people were in their garden, and I think it's been, in other ways, there's certainly a huge growth of appreciation for people's gardens, and I think that's really helped the landscape industry. And I think despite us going, we are in recession, we're going to go, I think we're in for a very rocky time. Sorry to be the bearer of doom and gloom, but I think the recession is going to be quite deep, this next one. But fingers crossed, I think that we're in a sector that has got potential growth.
Good. So that's, I guess, sort of the line in terms of the two businesses running together.
Yeah.
And so you're the only common goal across both? In terms, it's just you.
Technically, Heidi owns shares in both.
Yeah.
But I don't tell her that, just in case she wants to.
and I guess the underlying thing is about the quality and the consistency of both products underneath you, which matches and is parallel what drives you.
Yeah. It's got to be good. I can't sell a garden if I think it's going to be substandard. I can't do a job if it's going to be substandard. And the same sense, I can't sell a product which is going to be substandard. So it's that drive for quality, I think, is the really common link business wise. And I think the older we get, not me personally, I am the Peter Pan of the landscape industry. It's but I think the longer the businesses grow together, I think there's definitely a stronger connection there now.
And is there any value having the outdoor room on the same premises as people come in for the retail side and see that you've also got a landscape business? Does that help at all? Yeah,
I can keep an eye on them.
but have you one additional business for the landscape business?
Oh, sorry, Jim. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're having even just having, funny enough, having the sign on the road now. It's because Pots and Pithoi have several brown signs, which we're very proud of. It's the outdoor room. We've got signage here, and people are now connecting and linking the two businesses together. So they say, oh, we were in Pots and Pithoi and we saw the outdoor room here now. And we've had outdoor room customers, old outdoor room customers going, oh, we never knew you bought Pots and Pithoi. So there's definitely, and it has been better for inquiries. And bearing in mind, this is an area we never really covered much. We're getting a lot more inquiries going out East Sussex, Tunbridge Wells, that sort of part, those parts of Kent. So our locality has changed a lot more as well.
Would you still say you're the face for outdoor room? Are you still having client meetings? Are you still winning the business?
Jim, I've got the face for radio.
You're doing quite well here. It maybe keeps going blurry.
Yeah. Oh, does it keep going blurry?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, I was going to say that would be am I the face? Yeah, absolutely. I'm the face for the outdoor room. It's you know, I'll go and do the sales pitch, and I still have. I mean, I've been landscaping now since 1987, so and I still get that same excitement meeting a new client for the first time, working with a new designer, working with a new architect, looking at a job, and you know, and then if we win the job, I still get the same butterflies and excitement I had as I did 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's something you can't take away. I mean, I'm sure one day they'll have to sort of like wheel me out of here, but no, and I am grumpy. You know, I'm sort of comfortably grumpy. I'm sure I get grumpier, but that's just with wishing to maintain. I feel, Jim, at the moment we are in a real point of being the most unregulated industry I can think of. I think Helen was talking about what makes someone a garden designer, and I think, and it's no, well, it is a criticism of the colleges. I can't say, oh, it's no criticism to the colleges, because it is. I think that they're a business, and I think that they should be telling students, you are not, we need something which makes the industry more regulated. I can do 10 tenders for 10 different designers, and they'll all be done in 10 different formats, and there'll be 10 different levels of information, and that's not good enough. We need apples for apples when tendering, because I think that it's not appreciated. We can spend 2-3 weeks putting a tender package together. Now, we shouldn't be having to do that, because there should be some, if the information's not there, then we have to sort it out. There needs to be something where there's a much more standardized way of pricing and producing tender packages.
Yeah. Funny enough, though, Jay, it's the same in the landscaping market. A designer could be having 3 or 4 different landscapers without any regulation or without any set thing tendering through the price. I guess it works both ways. Do you think there should be more regulation into who can call themselves landscapers?
100%. This is what I'm saying. Sorry, that's not a pop at designers. I'm saying we're an unregulated industry.
Yeah.
And I just look at what we produce, and then I hear that we've lost the job to whoever, and I'm thinking, well, why was I even asked to tender for this?
Yeah. You
know, this is just, you know, and this is my point. Yeah. You know, why everyone should be roughly singing from the same hymn sheet here. And whether or not Barley produce one, APL produce one, the SGD produce one, there needs to be much more standardisation into how projects are priced for, material procurement, how that operates. And I think pretty much, I don't hear of it anymore, but I think I made my feelings quite well felt a while back over backhanders. And I'm certainly not approached anymore. So I would like to think that that has left the industry.
Or maybe it's because people know you shout about that.
I don't know. It's But whether or not that's been replaced with, they're now supplementing incomes with more supply of materials and products. I don't know, but I think, and I've always said this, and we love working with designers, we love working with architects, but they've got to we value what we do. You know, I like to think of I don't like winning a job on price. You know, I value what landscaping we produce. And I think that designers, they need to value what they do a lot more. I said at Futurescape back in November, you know, designers need to get it across to clients. They're not paying for a bit of paper, they're paying for that thought process. And that's absolutely critical, so that, you know, they can start charging proper professional fees and not scratching around at the bottom. But they need the adequate training, and not just training when they finish the courses, because I've seen the content, obviously, of London College, and it's excellent, you know, but the fact is that the designers the people who sign up for those courses, they shouldn't be then going out calling themselves a garden designer. They should be going to work for an established practice, and the good ones do. So the good designers always do go out and get experience with someone else.
But we're short of time, and there's a couple of things I just want to talk to you about very quickly. First, just on Go Landscape, which I know you and Nigel drove and pushed through. Is it where you want it to be now? Is it doing what it should be doing now?
Go Landscape is, luckily, no, it's chopped and changed, and it's changed direction in the sense of, you know, Nigel and I, we got, you know, bashed around, and Nigel is very focused on it a lot more than I am at the moment, and we're both working with Steve Ensel, the Barley Education Officer, and he just keeps going, and he's great, Steve. But we're focusing more now on Barley Academy, and we're saying, well, actually, you know, the colleges just aren't delivering what Barley Go Landscape is asking. And therefore, Barley feel that we've now got to take it into our own hands, and we need to start. So we're drawing up, you know, a syllabus. And I'm working on a syllabus with Steve and a panel about producing, and it is going back to the old ways. We're saying, look, we're not going to try and rush students through. We're not going to dumb this down, and this is going to be done properly, and we're going to start training students properly again. And how this works, I think there's a lot of ironing out. Merris Wood were behind it. Unfortunately, the social distancing. We had a pilot training week of paving, and that was just going to be one module for a whole syllabus of up to 36 different modules, which would then go back almost to a 3-year course. And I think if we can keep pushing that, and we say to the colleges, if you're not going to do it, can we rent some space off you, and can we start training these people ourselves?
What do you think about these? There's lots of college training sites, companies, and landscapers setting up training schools. Have you looked at any of those, or what's your thoughts? And I guess that is due to what you're saying, the lack of the right people coming out of colleges. What's your thoughts on this?
Again, I think it would be good. What I think Barley want to achieve is have a standardised educational programme, whereas I think companies who are doing it themselves, they're doing it out of necessity because they're being let down by the colleges, and I therefore think that, you know, they've got to do it, and that's absolutely great that they feel that they're giving their new staff the correct training. But if we can have what I would love to see was someone go to do one of these Barley courses, and they get certificated, and they know, then employers will know for the future that they've been trained to that high standard. I'm sounding like, you know, an old fogey now, but when I was a student, we had Employers' Day at Merris Wood, and there were companies absolutely fighting over us as Merris Wood trained students, because it was that highly thought of within the industry as a college, that that's what employers wanted, and it would be great to see that sort of hunger and drive from employers to want people with a Bali certificate.
And last, just very, very quickly then, so you're still planning Chelsea?
Keep going, Jim.
You're still planning, we might have to get you back, David. You're still planning Chelsea in September? Is it big change? Have you invested quite a bit of money in there already?
Yeah.
Time? Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's down to the sponsors. It's their decisions now as to whether or not they want to do it in September. We certainly feel safer. I wasn't happy at all about doing it in May. I know a few other contractors felt the same. It wasn't right to do it in May, but September, yes, if there's no new variant, we don't know. But I think really, is there the hunger there for it? What's it going to be like as a show? I've no idea, Jim. We'll support the RHS, and we've said that we'll do it. We've sold our sponsors, and we've told the designers we're working for and architects we're working for that we will do it. But it's really down to them now, down to the sponsors as to whether or not they want to proceed.
Excellent. David,
there's something else in the pipeline, Jim.
You know where to break it, don't you?
Yeah,
David,
we will be the outdoor room in one form or another will be at Pots and Pithoi have agreed to doing the trade stand. So in one form or another, the outdoor room will be at Chelsea. And I'll tell you what, Jim, I can't wait.
I can't wait. Well, I really appreciate your time, David. Thank you very much. And as always, really open and great for you to share your knowledge in that. Thank you everyone for listening. Hopefully we'll see you again next week. You can catch up, as I said, on the ProLancer website or on our YouTube channel. David, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Jim.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye everyone. Bye everyone.